Star Trek Lower Decks is here, so it's time to get up close and personal with the crew of the USS Cerritos. Created by Rick and Morty and Solar Opposites veteran Mike McMahan, the new animated series has just launched and gives a more comical and truly unhinged look at the Star Trek universe. We're going to take a quick look at the premiere episode, Second Contact, and then try something new. We'll be speaking directly to McMahan and some of the cast. It can't possibly go wrong. Welcome to SYFY WIRE's Warp Factor Lower Decks Edition. Endgame! Prepare for a mission briefing! This premiere episode is brand new, and there's at least one potentially big spoiler revealed in it that we're going to talk about in the interview. So if you haven't watched the episode yet, all crew to spoiler stations and red alert! We're picking things up in the 24th century after the events of Star Trek Nemesis, but well before the events of Star Trek Picard. Starfleet has changed its uniforms again, and we immediately get to know the crew of the USS Cerritos. Though Captain Freeman, Don Lewis, and Commander Ransom, Jerry O'Connell, are in command, assisted by Lieutenant Shax and Gillian Vigman playing a Cation, that's right, a Cation doctor. The real heroes that we follow in the series are Ensign Beckett Mariner, Tawny Newsome, Ensign Boimler, Jack Quaid, the Orion Ensign Tendi, Noël Wells, and the cybernetically enhanced Ensign Rutherford, Eugene Cordero. They go on a mission of Second Contact, not to be confused with Second Breakfast.
Yes. What about Second Breakfast?
The mission is kind of a success thanks to Mariner's quick thinking, as well as Rutherford and Tendi keeping things together when Ransom just up and infects the entire ship, causing utter mayhem. Seriously, things go berserk. By the end of the episode, all is well with our Lower Decks heroes, who all share bunks in the same sleeping area. Is Ensign Mariner really just another ensign, though, or does she have other connections to certain people who serve on the upper decks?
Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra.
Time to get some answers and generally celebrate this new series. So it's time to debut a brand new segment where I'm gonna personally talk it all through with creator Mike McMahan, as well as Tawny Newsome, Jerry O'Connell, Noël Wells, and Eugene Cordero. Are there plenty of questions to be asked? Are we going to stumble and make mistakes?
We're going to stumble, make mistakes, I'm sure more than a few before we find our footing.
A big yes to both questions. Welcome to Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. This show, I have to say, it's like a warm blanket of Trek comfort with all the fun, but none of the ethical torture. Is that how it's going to remain, or are we going to have some conundrums coming our way?
I think you've got some ethical torture throughout the season, but definitely the highlight of the show is the bridge crew are going to be dealing with some ethical torture, and then our lower decks crew will be hanging out, having a good time, cleaning up the bridge crew's messes. We obviously want to feel as Star Trek as possible, but we also want to feel like, hey, you've got a lot of Star Trek out there of deciding whether or not you have to kill Tuvix, and spoiler alert, it doesn't end up well for him. But that's not going to happen to our lower deckers as much. Really, for them, it's about, where are we in our careers? Where are we with knowing ourselves? And where are we in a social way? It's sort of exploring different storylines that you haven't gotten on other Star Trek shows.
And that's interesting for Tawny, for a character like Mariner, for a Lower Decks character who seemingly at first has no ambition.
Yeah, and the one small correction, it's not even really a correction, but a clarification I'd make is that it's not that she has no ambition, but she has no ambition for rank, as you've said, but her ambitions lie in helping people, in, providing assistance to alien races and to people in Starfleet around the kind of red tape of Starfleet bureaucracy. So I think she wears a mask of like, I don't care, no ambition, but really it's because she's found a way to be more effective in doing her job well, is to kind of rebel against the rules of the job.
Noël, you play Ensign Tendi, who's an Orion, which is already interesting, but correct me if I'm wrong, but would it be fair to say that she really needs people to like her?
Wait, are you talking about me or my character?
You both.
I don't know. Actually, I don't think that Tendi needs people to like her as much as she wants. She needs to be doing a good job at her job. So her self-worth is tied up with how well she's doing her job.
Well, when it comes to Rutherford, I think maybe you yourself, Eugene, have compared him to LaForge before.
Yeah.
Which I totally get. I'm hoping that his love life doesn't go the way of LaForge's, but it seems like he doesn't really care about his love life going bad.
I don't think he's into that. I mean, it's like a freshman in college, you know, like you're just kind of like excited that the world is where it's at and kind of seeing it for the first time. Like you want to be an engineer, and then you get the opportunity to start that career, and then it's just like I can't worry about that.
You are a natural-born warrior.
Also, I think he's a good-looking guy. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, he's very handsome.
Rutherford's, you know, he's got a cool look to him. So I don't think he's gonna have. Not saying that Jordy had, you know, he looked good too. I mean, that visor was dope, right? Everybody thought that. I mean, people rock that now because of him. But yeah, I think that he's not gonna have a problem with that. But also, who knows? Maybe, you know, there's kind of like that. Let's see what happens with the relationships he already has on board, and I think he's just happy to be, you know, part of the fam.
Commander Ransom, you've described him as being similar to Riker. I also definitely got a Kirk vibe and maybe a little Zap Brannigan in there. Am I off? I mean, Ransom, he's cocky is the thing, but he's not incompetent.
He's extremely competent. I'm going to go as far as to say is Ransom is, and I'm sorry, Frakes, and my wife, Rebecca Romaine, who plays number 1 on Pike. I think Ransom is, as far as I can see, the most effective number 1 in all of Starfleet. How about that?
What? Wow.
Yeah.
That's a bold claim.
He's not the most well-mannered. He's a little rude. He's probably visited Starfleet Human Resources a number of times.
Do you think he's got his eye on the captain's chair?
100%. I don't think we've ever seen anyone more hungry for power than Ransom.
Nothing like a cold beer after a smooth second contact. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah!
Star Trek's all about strange new worlds and new civilizations. Some of them are bound to be a little weird. And so for me, I'm watching it, it's like, yeah, it's like it sometimes feels like something out of Douglas Adams, I've said before, at a certain point, in a good way.
And it's animated. It's animated. You want to be able to, we can go crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of goes into my next question, which because this is animated, that you have a freedom here to go as big and weird as you want. How far are you gonna go? And is there a limit?
Secret Hideout and All Access didn't tell us to be careful. We just knew that we wanted to be, because the things that it's funny that you say that it feels like we got weird, because we were constantly being like, we need to feel like to get away with these comedic characters on a lesser known ship with the lower decks, and that we're only focusing on officers and not enlisted, like that have a very specific kind of vibe for this show, that it has to feel so Star Trek and it has to follow so many Star Trek rules. Like there has to be a big sci-fi story happening. There has to be a beginning, middle, and an end. There has to be emotional journeys happening. Like so much of the comedy was having to go hand in hand with really carefully making what I felt like was a really good Star Trek show at the same time. And we were already fighting the battles in our heads of, not only is it new Star Trek, so we know just like people got mad at TOS, people got mad at TNG, Deep Space, like it's a badge of honor for people to be like, this isn't Star Trek, you know, like they've always said it and done it.
Mariner's connection to the captain is not what it appears as first, is it?
Part of that with Mariner's relationship with the captain is that Mariner is secretly the captain's daughter, and that nobody on the ship knows. And the why and the, what will happen if it ever comes out, and what about Mariner's existence in Starfleet is changed by being on a ship with her mom. You also find out in the pilot that there's an admiral who is Mariner's father, and that Mariner is kind of coming from, in a way, Starfleet royalty.
The way she speaks to the captain sometimes, there's a history there. There's something going on. So I feel like it allows her to be, a little more insubordinate, a little more, just kind of doing things her way.
It does allow us to get to have Mariner to be able to say things and say it in a way where, like, Tawny says it with a smile, where she can, like, call out in the pilot, should have washed those hands, Captain, like. And at first you're like, wow, how can she get away with that kind of stuff? Is this why she's been demoted so much? And it kind of is, it goes hand in hand with nobody can get under their mom's skin like their own family, like their kids.
Romulan whiskey is against regulation.
Yeah, because it's awesome. Oh, man, they got all sorts of great stuff. Oh.
You guys have so much fun with pretty much not making fun of, but celebrating every Trek cliche there is, I feel like. And what are from both of you, what are your favorites that, or either Trek cliches or Easter eggs that we can look forward to? I mean, I've seen Suliban, I've seen humpback whales, you know, their red shirt jokes, you know, everything that you would make. It's not making fun of, but celebrating.
Yeah.
You know, what are your favorites? What are just a couple of ones that stand out to you?
I mean, Tawny, if you can carefully talk about episode 8, just don't give away the...
Okay. Episode 8 is my favorite episode. But what can I even say, Mike?
You can say that it's our take on a classic Star Trek trial.
Yep, it's our take on a classic Star Trek trial. I didn't know I could say the words trial.
I think you can say trial.
Well, I guess you're not the one to ask.
I don't know.
You got me in trouble before. No, I love that episode because it, you know, just that premise of the trial is so familiar for Trek fans, and the turn at the end, and you get so many flashbacks. See, now I'm like censoring myself and I can't talk. I feel like my brain has short-circuited.
Now worry not, we'll be back with our regular classic blend next week. Maybe we'll do Tuvix again, who knows? Personally though, this new series feels like a warm blanket during a cold night on Rura Pente. If it's not your thing, that's fine, but let me tell you, this show gets truly magnificently weird. If you want to see some strange new worlds and generally just some really weird ass stuff, then look no further. With that, I'll bid you farewell for the week with the notion that we can always strive to find some kind of Crusher Watch! What, did you think I wasn't gonna do it? I wasn't allowed to do it during the interviews themselves, and though I didn't get the question in, some real journalists did, and we can expect some classic 24th century era legacy characters to appear in Lower Decks this season. Animated Beverly and animated Jean-Luc making out non-stop before he quits Starfleet and screws off to his vineyard? Could happen. All right, back on track. What was I saying? Who cares? Happy launch day to Lower Decks and the USS Cerritos. Blue skies, smiling at you. Nothing but animated weirdness beaming through.